Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In episode 1, we have learned how Ansible can run commands on multiple servers at once. But let me be honest with you. In real companies, nobody runs ad hoc commands again and again. Companies want repeatable automation, predictable results, zero manual effort. And that's why Playbooks exist. Today, you will learn how to think like an automation engineer, not just to run the command. So this is the content that we are going to overlook in episode 2. The goal of this particular episode 2 is to write flexible and reusable automation workflows. These are the topics that we are going to cover in this particular uh, episode. So here we are starting our first topic, which is YAML fundamentals. So what is YAML? So YAML stands for yet another markup language. An Ansible playbook is basically a YAML file that describes what should be done, in which order, and under what condition. So these are the three things you need to think while writing any Ansible playbook. What should be done, in which order, like what should be the order of different tasks inside this particular playbook, and under what conditions this task should get executed. So these are the three things you should be careful while writing any YAML playbook. Ansible does not guess, it only does what you clearly describe in a playbook. So before writing any playbook, we must understand YAML. YAML is not a programming language. It is a data format like JSON or XML, and it's easy to read. So, for example, if you want to write any playbook, you should start with three hyphen. So, let me write one Ansible playbook. So, let me write one sample playbook here. Ansible wiki skill Linux Ansible. Yo. So, in this particular example, our playbook is started with these three hyphens or three dashes. So these three hyphens basically indicates your YAML document starts from here. The next line is name. So this name is basically a key, and Ansible beginner is its value assigned. If you correlate this with dictionaries in Python, then you can simply understand. So these are the key, these are the values assigned to this particular key. And skills is basically a list of items. So here you can see these are the three items that are added as a part of this skills list. So each item in a list starts with hyphen, and there is a indentation you need to follow. So you need to follow the proper indentation in order to create the list. And each item in the list starts with hyphen. So wrong indentation is nothing but broken playbook. So this way you can create any playbook. So this is the structure through which you can create Ansible playbook. So this is all about YAML fundamentals. Next thing is playbook structure. Every Ansible playbook follows a structure. For example, this is the sample playbook we have written, and here you can see the dash at the beginning means this is the play. So in Ansible playbook, you will have different plays, different tasks inside those plays. You can combine your different tasks inside one play. So this is the name of our playbook, which is my first Ansible playbook. The second line indicates what all host on which we want this playbook to run. And here we have specified all the hosts from the given inventory. If you want to target specific host group, then you can specify the host group right here. We have written become yes, means this will run the task with sudo user, and this task is basically a list of actions that we want to execute. And each task has name and a module. So here we are using debug module to print the message on the console, and this will print hello from Ansible. So Ansible does not use shell script internally. It makes use of module. And in this particular task, we are using debug module to print the message right here. So module is basically a small program that does one job correctly. So in this particular case, we are using debug module. If you want to install something, you can make use of apt module or yum module. So let's suppose if you want to install Nginx, so you can make use of apt module, and you just need to provide the name of package and the state, like what action you want to perform on that package. So here I want to install that package. So this task will install Nginx on all of your servers. So this is about like module in Ansible. Ansible check the system first. If Nginx is already installed, it does nothing. This is called as idempotency. So this is the smart feature of Ansible, idempotency. If Nginx is already present on few of the servers, then it will skip the installation. It will not waste time for reinstalling the same package. This makes Ansible safe. In production, safety matters more than speed. In production, safety matters more than speed. Next thing is tasks and handlers. So I think we have already covered tasks right here. So these are the tasks that define what all actions we need to perform in as a part of display. So task basically defines what all actions need to be performed. So tasks basically do the actual work. Next thing is handlers. So what do you mean by handlers? So what do we mean by handlers? There might be situations where we want to restart a service if something changes. That's where handlers come into picture. If let's suppose if we are working with Nginx, and if Nginx configuration file changes, in that case we will notify handler that Nginx configuration has been changed, and handler will make sure to restart that service. So this will avoid unnecessary restart of service. So in production environment, you cannot restart service now and then. So that particular thing can be managed efficiently with the help of handler. We'll see these handlers with the practical approach during our project. The next thing is variable and variable precedence. So now imagine tomorrow you want Apache instead of Nginx. So do you rewrite the playbook? So answer is no. So what you will do? You will use the variable. So here we can define variable with the var instruction, and you need to use the indentation right here as well, and you need to define your package right here. So web package is Nginx, and you can simply change your task with the variable. So you let me copy paste this task right here. So under task, you will write task, and yeah. So you just need to pass this web package variable right here. So instead of giving the hard coded package name, you will simply use the variable inside double quote. So this will ensure your respective web package will get installed. So let's suppose tomorrow if you want to change to Apache instead of Nginx, you can simply do Apache right here, and it will install the Apache package instead of Nginx package. So same playbook, different behavior based on your variable. So this is the usage of variable. Here we haven't changed anything. We have just changed the value of your variable. Same playbook, different behavior. This is how professionals write automation. So there are various ways to use the variable in Ansible. So first one is using var given in below example. You can define the variables inside var main.yaml. You can find this directory in the role. We'll cover these roles, Ansible roles in upcoming session. But yeah, you can for now you can just remember that there are various ways through which you can pass the variables to your Ansible playbook. So one of that is given right here, var. Second one is var main.yaml, where you can define your variables. Third one is inside defaults main.yaml. If you want to define default values for variable, this is the right place. And this one is also, you can find it inside the Ansible role. The fourth place is with through runtime parameters. So you can pass -e followed by variable name to your playbook during execution. So for example, Ansible playbook followed by web app deployment dot YAML -e web package equal to Apache. So this way you can also pass the variables through your playbook. So these are the few ways through which you can pass the values to your variables, and the highest precedence is given to the runtime parameters. After that, the preference is given to the var, and third one is given to the default. So this is all about like variables and variables precedence. We'll do the actual implementation during our project. The next topic is facts and gather facts. So Ansible automatically collects system information, and this information is called as facts. In order to capture this fact, there is a gather facts instruction that you need to define in your playbook. Facts include OS, memory, CPU, IP address, all the information related to your operating system. Using facts, playbook can think and decide. That's all about facts. We'll see the practical usage during the project implementation. Next thing is conditional and loop. So conditional answer one question: when should this task run? So let me give one example right here. So let's suppose we have this task to install web server, and I want this task to get executed only when Ansible OS family is of type Ubuntu or Debian. Then only we want to install this package. So this way your Ansible playbook will check if when the target machine or when the managed node, when the target machine is of type Debian, then only execute this task, which is installing web server. If the Ansible OS family is of different types like Red Hat or CentOS, then Ansible will keep the installation of that particular package. So this way you can define the conditional inside Ansible. Next thing is loops. If you repeat same task again and again, so that's bad automation. For example, if you want to perform any kind of like repetitive task, then in that case we need to use loop. Ansible provides a loop instruction in order to perform different things. So let's suppose you want to install multiple packages right here, then you can do that with the help of loop. So let's suppose you want to use apt, and let's suppose you if you want to install multiple packages, then what you can write is you can define the loop right here, and you just need to provide the packages that you want to install. So git, Nginx, Apache, curl, vim, and if the packages are available in the repo, then yeah, it will install these packages on the target node. So this way you can make use of loop to perform the repetitive task. So here we are. So here you need to follow the indentation, proper indentation, and yeah. So here we are installing multiple packages in a one go with the help of loop. The loop will list all the items, and these items are referred in with the help of this item keyword. And yeah, this way you can this way it will install all the packages given here in the loop list. And with this, we are pretty much done with our conditional and loop concept. I hope you have understood all the concepts right here. If you have any questions, queries, you can post it in the comment, and I'll try to solve your queries if you have any. So loops make code clean and scalable. So in future, if you want to add more packages, you can add it. If you want to remove any packages which are not supported, you can remove it. Loops basically make code clean and scalable. Now, last but not the least, project implementation, and we will be deploying web server deployment as a part of this particular project. So we have switched to episode 1 to start the VM diagram stuff. Let me start the VM and then we'll switch to episode 2 to create the actual project. So as you can see, all our VMs are up and running now. Let's switch to our project folder, and here we'll create one folder in episode 2. So let's switch to episode 2, mkdir project to web server. Let's switch to this project and let's create one inventory. So as a part of this project, we can simply copy the inventory from our existing episode. So we'll copy the inventory from episode 1. So let's switch to episode 1 and let's copy the inventory file. And here we have copied the inventory from the episode 1. The next thing is to create a playbook. So as we have learned in this particular episode, the playbook is nothing but a simple file, and you just need to provide a name right here for this particular playbook, which is webserver.yaml. All your Ansible playbooks will end with YAML or YML extension. So here we have created webserver.yaml file, and inside this YAML file, you can simply write your playbook. So let me zoom in first. So your playbook must start with reference. So first thing comes is your play. So in your while writing the play inside your playbook, you need to define the name of your play. So we want to deploy web server. So web server deployment is the name of our play using Ansible. And you can use two spaces to properly indent your playbook. Then host. So let me open the inventory first. So here we have only one group which is named as backend. Let's create one more group which that is web, and we'll copy this web inside this web group and db host inside this db group. So we have parent group named as backend, which has all the hosts. Then we have web group which has only web host, and we have db group which has only db host. And out of this, we want to utilize web host group right here in the web server.yaml. So here the host group we have defined is web host. Then we want to use sudo user, so become it yes, and gather facts. We want to gather OS information, so that's why we are using gather facts as yes. So this is the basic information about our play. The next thing is to define the variables. So we will define the variables using var, and we will define the web package variable, which is Nginx in this particular case. The web service is also Nginx, and what else? We want to define the web root path, which would be var ww Since this particular string has different, like this particular string has a special characters, we will make use of double quotes right here. So here we have defined variables, we have enabled gather facts, and we have targeted only the web server with the help of this particular section. The next thing is to define the different tasks. So let's define the task section. So in task, you need to start with first task. You need to start with name, and the task is install web server package. Then we'll use apt model, and inside apt model we need to provide package details. So we will be using variable to provide the package details. So here we are passing web package variable. So this web package value will get replaced in the place of name. State present. If we want to update cache, then we'll write here. We want to use the latest package of Nginx. That's why we have written update cache as here. And we want this to get installed when Ansible OS family is Ubuntu. Ansible OS family equal to Since we are using Ubuntu VM, we will write it as Ubuntu. And this particular task will install the respective web package. In this case, it will install Nginx. The next task that we want is to, so if we go to index.md5, we want to install and configure Nginx. So installation is done. Now the next thing is configuration. So let's copy this particular task. So we can simply copy this task and paste it multiple times, and we just need to modify the name of task and refer to module name. The syntax and indentation will remain as is. Now the next task is to start and enable the service. Okay, and for that purpose we have service module, then service web service is the variable name. The state should be started right here, and we don't have update cache variable here. And we also want to enable the service, so that on reboot the service will get started automatically. Next task is to deploy some web page inside our web server. So the task is to deploy sample index.html file, and for that purpose we are using copy module. We'll be writing some content right here, and if you want to write multi-line content, you can use this syntax. So you need to simply define some sample HTML file right here. So HTML body, and we'll define some headers. Welcome to Ansible web server. Then we'll define some paragraph saying deployed using Ansible Playbook, and yeah, then the destination file would be, the destination path for this file would be web root path slash index.html, and we don't have the cache right here. We'll use notify here to restart web service. So we are making use of handlers right here. This will deploy a web page after starting the service, and this is the website content that you will see on those particular web server. Now let's write the handlers section. So you need to follow the indentation right here. So here we have to follow the task level indentation for handler. Similar like task, we have to follow the handlers. So name should be same as notify. So whatever things you define in the notify, same name should be given in handlers. Otherwise handlers will not work. And here you need to use service model to restart the service. And we'll write name service name as web service, and state should be restarted. And that's pretty much about this particular playbook. Let's execute this model. So in order to execute the model, we need to log into our control node. Okay, so I think we need to switch back to episode 1. We need to switch back to episode 1 folder, because all the background specific configuration is present inside episode 1. And let's log into control node. We need to copy this inventory file and web server file inside our control node. So we have Ansible lab folder. Inside that we'll create web server deployment, and we'll move to that web server deployment. Here whatever content we have created so far, like we have created inventory.ini file. So we'll copy this inventory.ini file right here. Actually we have inventory.ini file which we have created in earlier session. So we'll just copy that file right here. Here we have web host group and db host group. Okay. Now we'll copy the playbook right here. So we have web server deployment.yaml, and we'll just copy this playbook as it is. Currently we have logged into our control node. and play named as web server deployment is enable. We have defined few variables where we have defined few variables, mainly web package, web service, and web root path. Web package is basically Nginx, web service is Nginx, and web root path is the path of your website content. Then under task, we have defined few tasks. First task is to install web server package. Second task is to start and enable the service. Third task is to write the content for your website, and fourth task is to manage the services. Let's execute this playbook. So the command to execute playbook is Ansible Playbook followed by the playbook name. So web server deployment is our playbook, and that's it. This will make sure to install web server on respective web nodes. Let's wait. So if we type inventory.ini, this web, okay.
2,000 years later.
So let's execute the playbook now. So the command is Ansible-playbook followed by playbook name. In our case, our playbook name is web server deployment.yaml followed by inventory. So we have created inventory.ini. In order to provide inventory, you need to provide -. Let's run the playbook. Has been failed. Playbook the error. So let's debug this playbook. Could not find requested service nginx colon. Oh, so there is something wrong with our variables. Yeah. So this is web package. Web package. This. So let's provide this variable in the form of string. Okay. And let's rerun the playbook. So our web server package is getting skipped, which means the gather facts is not running as expected. Because in gather facts we are so this task is getting skipped, which basically means this condition is not getting fulfilled. So from the Ansible OS family, condition is not getting fulfilled. In order to debug this issue, what we can do is we can simply generate the fact for our host, and we can based on that we can pass the condition. So the command to get the fact. So in this particular case, we can make use of add command. Ansible hypernyam setup, and setup is the module which you can use the to get the facts for your target name. And all hypernyam metric. And here you can see you have got all the facts for your all DPMs. And here you can see your Ansible OS family is Debian. So you just need to replace your condition with Debian. So Debian. So this way you can troubleshoot the issues. Let's rerun the playbook now, and this time I'm pretty much sure this playbook will get executed. Let's see. Again, successfully executed. So gathering fact says okay, which means the fact has already been generated, and it is reusing the existing facts. The next task install web server package, and here you can see the actual execution. So our play name is web server deployment using Ansible. Then the first, then the next task is then the first task is gathering facts. So here it has gathered the facts, and the response is okay. Next task is to install web server package, and it has the status, the response is changed, and the response of this task is changed, which means installation is done successfully. The next task is to start and enable the service, and it has successfully enabled the service. Next task is to deploy the sample index file, and that has also been done successfully. Here you can see the status has changed. And at the end of this particular playbook execution, it has ran the handler to restart the web service, and it has successfully restarted the web service. Now, in order to cross verify whether your installation is done successfully or not, you can simply open the website. So, if we check the inventory right here, so it's making use of this particular IPs. So let's try to use this IP to check the website status. So let me try to run, and here you can see the Ansible has got deployed successfully to this particular web 1 node. Let's try to check for web 2 node, and here you can see the Ansible, and here you can see the website, the web server has successfully installed on both the VMs. So this way you can perform the installation of different tasks. So this way you can perform the automation of different tasks with the help of Ansible. So this particular single project teaches playbooks, YAML. So this single project teaches playbooks, YAML, variables, facts, conditionals, handlers, conditions, idempotency, and real-world automation mindset. If you understand this, you are already ahead of many beginners. In episode 2, you moved from commands to automation. You learned how real DevOps engineers write Ansible code. In next episode, episode 3, we take this same project and make it production grade. We'll use roles, templates, and collections. So practice this project well, and I'll see you in the episode 3. Thank you, and see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.